Hello and welcome to this video on implementation of backpropagation using Python from Society of Artificial Intelligence or SOAI. I am Ritik and this notebook is created by my colleague Mansi. So let's begin this video here as a prerequisite in order to run all our code. We will be needing to import some libraries. So we will go on and import NumPy, Matplotlib, scikit-learn, Seaborn. So yeah, now we have successfully imported our um, libraries. So let's go on and let's generate random seeds and import some colors as well. Now we will be generating 1,000 observations with 4 labels. So it's basically a multi-class. So let's plot the graph and just see how they are. So as you can see here, 4 different types of data. So let's convert this multi-class classification into binary one. As you can see here, what we have done is these 4 classes are now basically converted into just two. So let's go on and split our data as training data and testing data or validation data. So as you can see here, the split is 750 and 250, that is 75% and 25%. Okay, so let's implement this code for FF networks, and this is backpropagation algorithm for our first FF network, which is a single weight. So what we basically done here is in the initialization of a function, we have randomly initialized the 6 weights and 3 biases as 0. Then the code is same for that of sigmoid and forward pass, also that of a gradient. And in fit, as we have done similarly in the lots of videos before, you can refer back how we went on and initialized or executed this FF network. You will get a very good idea for it. It's just the simple code. The mathematical logic behind which we explained in the videos is just an interpretation of that particular mathematical language. So yeah, now we will train our model. So let's see. We have used here 500 epochs, as you can see, and now let's move on. Let's see what it says us. Yeah, so mean squared error with respect to epochs and w1 with respect to epochs, you can see this elbow curve forming. When you know that the bottom of this elbow, we know that the value we take is the most useful one. So okay, let's move on, and now let's implement the back propagation for ff for our FF network, but this is for all weights. So similarly, we will take our 6 weights. We will randomly initialize them as well as initialize the biases as zeros. Forward pass is defined as it is, but here we are dealing with two inputs, where x1 and x2. X is the input and y is the truth value. Let's move on. The same, everything is same here. Nothing is changed except for the prediction value. We have here h1 prediction, h2 prediction and h3 prediction, as you can see, and it is nothing but we have applied here forward pass and we have appended the y prediction as self h1, self h2 and self h3. We will get in a minute why we have done this. So let's move on and train our model. So here, as you can see, we have used the number of epochs to 2000. So question arises, why 2000? As you can see, only 1000 values data sets we had. So only we, since we were training our data on just 1000 values, so we needed to have more accuracy. So we increase the number of epochs. So yeah, let's let it train first. Completed around 59 percentage. Let's see. Takes a bit of time as we have increased the number of epochs here to 2000 here. Yeah, it's just very good near completion. So let's see what happens right now. Yeah, we are done with our training, and you can see that mean square error, has we have seen this elbow and we know this part is the most important part. Let's go on to visualize our weights and see what we have got here. Yeah, so this beautiful boundary we have got, which we can clearly see the decision boundaries here. The third one will be a better one. As you can see, this is a plot for x2 versus x1. This is for h1, this is for h2, and this is for h3. And if we want to see here, so we can say that in a much clear vision, the boundary for h3 is the best. As we can see here, the decision boundary seems to be most accurate. Let's move on in order to visualize our weights. We have, this is just a simple line of code for heat map that we use that we implement using Cburn. You can also implement it, and this is just a simple line of code that does it. Annotations are true. Let's go on implement both of them. Yeah, hello. Yeah, as you can see now, we have got this heat map. So let's go on and print the training and validation accuracy. And yeah, let's plot the data. As you can see here, we have successfully got an accuracy of 98% in training and 94% in validation or testing. And when we plotted it, so very clear boundaries can be seen here. So okay, let's move on to backpropagation for multi-class classification. As we did before, that was for just binary classes. We converted the 4 into 2. So let's move here and just split our data again into 75 and 25 percentage. As you can see that x train is 750 and 250, which sees. Now let's execute this one hot encoder, which makes sure that the training and validation data shape remains the same, and we encode the data. So now let's go on to this class definition of FFS and multi-class specific. So what we did here was initialize 12 weights randomly and 6 biases to 0. Define sigmoid in the very same manner as we did before. So is the forward pass that we have defined. Gradient defined in the same way. Short grad defined also in the same way. And yeah, the fit function is defined as we have defined this several times earlier. And we went on to displaying loss, which is mean square error. We all know that. So let's execute this line of code. As I said earlier, you can use shift enter or simply click on this one. So let's go on and train our model. Again, it's 2000 epoch. As I said before, that since we have only 1000 data points, the in order to get a bit of more accuracy, we are using a higher number of epochs, and the learning rate we are using here is 1. So the thing is, we are targeting say about 99 percentage of the accuracy. And yeah, display loss at this display loss attribute here or value here is set to be true. So let's wait for a minute. Let's see what happens here. It will take a bit of time. So this is the main difference between what we did in binary classification versus multi-class classification. We have greater number of weights and biases, and we have defined function in a more or less a similar way. So let's move on and see how much things have changed here. So if we just go on comparing here, so you can see 12 weights and 6 biases, which is I guess different as we have 6 weights and 3 biases. So the thing actually doubled, and you should know why it got doubled. We have because we had here 4 classes and we tried to define things in that particular way. So since we did that, so For four classes, we had 12 weights and six biases. So yeah, our training is nearly towards the completion. We have reached almost 93%. Let's move, wait a bit, and yeah, we are done with our training. And this is the plot for mean square error versus epochs. You can see it has gone really low here with 240 epochs, but it went up. So yeah, actually, so what we can really infer in this particular case is, since we got our mean value at say around 200 or something, so if we had trained our model for say just 200 epochs, or say let's 250 epochs, we would have got this least mean square error which we always target. So this 2000 was basically not necessary, but since we had used 2000 epochs, and after seeing this plot we are deducing it, we will never be able to deduce it beforehand, but as you can clearly see here that 250 epochs would have also worked. So let's move on and print our training accuracy and validation accuracy. So as you can see here, the accuracy is pretty much very low, 29% and 27%, which happened because of the algorithm that we used was not particularly built to make for it. So let's, we know that sigmoid works really very good in binary classification, but not is the case with multi-class. So let's see what is tester vectorization. Yeah, so method of vectorization, we are say initializing n equal to, or sorry, defining n equal to 107 and m equal to 200, and let's say that n and m are where rows and columns, and we are initializing a and b's as vectors. Let's do it, and yeah, so we went on and see that non-vectorized. So we are seeing here time it takes to actually add both of, means, I hope we are getting what we are doing here. We initialize to n by m random matrices, as you can see in this particular case. In Python we call them as lists, but in mathematical sense or terms you can say n by m matrices. We initialized randomly and then we added them. So this is the formula that adds the addition of matrices, elements of matrices, and you can see here, since we are in this particular Google Colab environment, it took us just 22.1 milliseconds to do it. And see, this was for non-vectorized one, and yes, here you go. Once we vectorized it and went on, c is equal to a plus b as we defined here. What we basically did here was, after initializing these things randomly, we set c is equal to np dot zeros, or we initialized a zero vector or null vector of similar dimension and by m. So when we vectorize it and simply added a and b, just look at the time difference, 22.1 milliseconds and 493 microseconds. So you should get the difference, how much difference the vectorization makes. So now we will continue the same FF multiclass classification, but in this particular case with vectors, with weights as vectorized ones. So as we have always defined weights in randomly, so this time we, what we had done is initialize the biases as np dot zeros in the dimension of what weights are. So I hope you got what we did here. So w1 dot copy, basically what weights we had given in the, for the parameters of this particular function, are using same one as initializing them, and instead of initializing b as zeros, we are initializing them with the same number of same dimensions. So that makes sure that our the got the our attributes, not what we say parameters, got vectorized. So we will move on with the same thing as we had done so far, defining the forward pass, gradient, sigmoid as it is. Let's move on and let's predict this one. So here we are not training our model on it, but just for understanding purpose we have done this. So similarly will be the case with vectorized inputs, and same thing what we did there we have done here. We have used softmax here as well, that was missing in there. And yeah, everything is same. We haven't here trained our model and checked the accuracy, but the main very purpose of factorization is to easy to reduce the time in the implementation of it. So yeah, thank you. This is all for this video on backpropagation. Thank you very much for watching it.